Hey, what's up, y'all? So listen, right? Since I did the dream interpretation video not too long ago, and I got a response from it, which stated it was an interesting story. I told the story pretty much. It is an interesting story though. If you check it out, it's on there somewhere. It doesn't have much views, so it's probably not one of the more popular videos. But I probably don't do videos like that, so it's probably why it's not viewed as much. But I decided to do another one, and I decided to do one that is more recent because it aligns with something that I found astrologically. So this is even a bit more unique, if you will. So just the other night, I can tell you, as a matter of fact, this was just about yesterday, as a matter of fact. See, I've been in and out of sleep a lot recently because the moon is in Aquarius right now. For me, in the solar chart, Aquarius is my 12th house. So Pisces, if you're listening, for all Pisces, if you have the capability to get more rest during the time when the moon is inside of the sign of Aquarius, I'd recommend to do so. Of course, I know people have responsibilities and obligations. So again, if you can, do so. And if you're just getting mere regular sleep from your sleep patterns, try to, if you do dream vividly, keep a journal nearby and jot down what you can recall as soon as you wake up. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you wake up to use the bathroom, it gets challenging because you figure, oh, I could run to the bathroom and go back to sleep, and I'll remember the dream when I wake up. It doesn't always happen. There's a strong cases of memory where you can actually pull that off. However, there's sometimes that I've been heated because I thought that I could remember, and when I awoke, I just couldn't do it. But with practice, a lot of the times I can. But just sometimes I can't. So I've learned from that. So as soon as I get up, I get the opportunity to jot it down. I jot it down. Okay, so here we go, right? I believe this was just yesterday, as a matter of fact. I've been in and out, so I really haven't been keeping track of the day, actually, for the past 2 days. I've been watching the interstellar clock, if you will. So here it goes. I'm in the dream, right? I'm dreaming. There's two dreams, too. One dream goes right into the other. So the first dream, I'm in this, it's definitely like a community center, okay? It's like a PAL of some sort. I don't know if you're familiar with PAL. I know when I was younger, we had the PAL in my community when I lived in Staten Island. So it was something like that. I could tell it was definitely a community-based center. The atmosphere, the feel. It was an event going on. It was almost like a celebration, I think, even, because there were like balloons and stuff around. I could remember it was like baskets, like maybe even a party basket. It was some type of celebration, right? And but the peculiar thing about it was I was standing in a hallway that represented like a holding dock of some sort. And while being there, there were people, other men. There were no women with us. It was just a group of men. And I recognized some of them from my old neighborhood from when we were children. You know what I mean? Where exactly, some of them I couldn't even remember exactly where, but their faces were very familiar, that I knew the exact region that I knew them from. I just couldn't recall their names at that time. So it was kind of like those, oh, I remember you by face, but I can't recall your name type things. It was one of those. And, so we seen each other, we were like, oh, I didn't see you in mad long. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so after that, there was like a door behind us. So there's a door in front of us, and then there's a door behind us. And from the door behind us, someone comes in, and they're wearing a jumpsuit. So it's almost like prisoner type thing. Like, all of us don't have jumpsuits on though, but this particular dude does have a jumpsuit on, and I knew him too, and I'm like, oh, yo, what's up? So we all gathering up, meeting up, saying what we need to say or whatever, camaraderie type thing going on. And so yeah. Oh, I meant to say deja vu video. Excuse me. I'm gonna get right back to the dream, but I did a deja vu video, not a dream interpretation video. The dream interpretation video, I believe, is actually on a Private Investigation Enterprises channel. My mistake. Okay, so back to the dream. So we meet each other in this narrowed hallway. So at this point in time, I figure out that, okay, for whatever reason, we're not allowed past this door right now, and there's a window through the door, and so I peer through the window and I see that we're in a community type center type thing. So I'm like, okay, well, this is not a prison. So why are we kept inside of this narrow hallway? You know what I mean? So as soon as I seen the opportunity that the door had cracked, I, out of everyone, went inside of it. I felt like one other person come behind me. I felt them through my peripheral vision, but I just kept darting through, right? And I went straight for a basket. I went straight for a basket off of the table. I grabbed it. I slid down even like kid-like, you know what I mean, with the basket. And I grabbed a piece of candy out of the basket, and I ate the piece of candy. So I'm eating it, and the guy who came in behind me, he was like, "Oh man, where'd you get that from?" And I was like, "I got it from the table right there." You know, put him on to where it was at. And then one of the ladies who was running the community center, I can tell, she came to me. She was like, "Where did you get that candy from?" And I was like, "I got it from the table right there." Like, I did not care about I didn't care about no repercussions or consequences. Like, I really felt kid-like. You know what I mean? I guess that's kind of representative of the candy as well. See, now in dreams, when you find candy or when you eat candy, it represents the pleasures of life, that you're enjoying the pleasures of life or whatever, pleasures that you have access to. Like, that signifies that. But it can also mean excessive indulgence, right? So I'm going to get to that right now, because right now in the waking state, Venus is inside of Scorpio. Now, Venus is representative of candy and sweets. Okay, now the reason why I mention this and make it parallel to astrology is because the dream that I have after this is going to be very strongly relative to the sign of Scorpio. Okay, so I want you to stay with me and pay attention to what I'm about to say. So while I'm eating this candy, I'm going to finish this dream off now before I merge into the next one. I'll tell you the next one. As I'm eating this candy, it's like almost instantly I tasted that the sugar inside of this candy was like extreme. It was through the roof. And I'd have finished eating it, you know what I mean? But I was just like, this is just too much candy. Like, who does this? Like, who made this candy? You know how you taste some, even if it's a juice or something that is just so sweet, you like, yo, wait a minute. Like, you just can't. It'll make your head hurt. It was one of those things. So I didn't finish the piece of candy. I put it away. I was like, I was turned off. And, I seen people like standing over me or whatever, because I was still on the floor like a kid. Seen people standing over me or whatever the case may be. They was like, what's wrong? But then I'm fading out at this point, right? I'm fading in and I'm merging into the next dream. So here I am in this next dream, right? And I'm in my old neighborhood, and it's nighttime, and it reminds me so much of being younger in my neighborhood. Like when I was younger, growing up in my neighborhood in Staten Island, right? We used to have some of the most fun times, like, and I mean this sincerely. Like, it was one of those nights I could feel it in the air. Like, it was dark, but it was probably a weekend night. Like, there was so many people out, and we used to just be out there chilling like there was no tomorrow. You know what I mean? And so I felt that vibe when I got there. But I'm already there. My outfit has changed, everything. Now, whether or not actually traveled back in time is questionable. I felt like I did because I felt cornrows on my head, and I used to wear long hair. I used to have braids down here. You know what I mean? So I felt possibly that it was possible that I traveled back in time. Also, but I was about this build, but my back was feeling real strong and wide. But I've always worked out, so I couldn't really, really, really tell. You know what I mean? But I remember what I was wearing. I had a black polo, short sleeve polo on. I had some either cream or white khakis on. I was dressed, you know what I mean? So I get to my old block, and I see a woman that I know. She's in front of a stoop that we used to be in front of on our block. And she's like singing in this like gospel sounding voice. She sounds almost like Aretha Franklin type, but I do not know this woman to sing this well. You understand what I'm talking about? Not at all. So I'm like amazed, like, wow, I didn't know Shorty sing like that. You know what I mean? I'm gonna keep her name anonymous right now, and a couple of these players I'm gonna keep anonymous right now, because it's a dream and it's kind of touching at times too. So I'm gonna just keep names anonymous right now. But so she's singing, she's going off, right? And I'm like, yo, wow. So I'm just staring at her, looking at her. I'm like, okay. So then, boom, there is this. No, wait. Before I get there. Just keep in mind that See, I'm going off memory now. That's how you know I'm real good at this whole abstract and dream information, right? So, but before we get there, just hold that spot, right? So, when I first got into this dream, when I first merged in from the community center into this dream, one of my people that I know, they're deceased right now. You know what I mean? But they were walking towards me, asking for, they wanted marijuana, as a matter of fact. Now, they were being escorted by someone else that I know as well. This person is still alive. And they was asking me for marijuana, and I was like, I don't have it. I don't do that. As a matter of fact, this is what I said. I said, I have potatoes. And it was true. Like, I had like a bag full of home fries with ketchup on them. Like, I guess I carried a plate of food that was like left over from wherever I was eating at. And I was like, I have home fries. And they was like, okay, whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? Now, at this moment, while I'm in there, I'm conscious of who these people are, but I'm not yet even feeling the fact that my boy is deceased at this time. You know what I mean? I'm just like standing there. Like, it's just natural. Like, I'm telling you, I feel like I'm really back on my block, back in whatever year it could have been, right? So that happened, and they like dispersed. I couldn't find them after that. So this is when I actually turned around and I seen the woman singing on the bars. All right, so I'm bringing you back to where the woman was singing. So she's singing, she's going off, she's doing very well. And I'm like, wow, didn't know you could sing like that, right? So, boom. Now, a celebrity, and a well-known celebrity at that, whose name I'm also keep anonymous, because who knows how deep this thing can go. Who knows, maybe later on in life, but right now I'm just keeping it anonymous. So a celebrity starts walking up the block near where the woman who is singing is sitting, right? Now, the woman who is sitting, that is singing, I don't know her to know this celebrity. However, she began speaking to the celebrity like they knew each other, like they was pals and buddies. And there was some women across the street as well. So when they seen the celebrity walking up the block, they was like, all right, go ahead, young. They were calling her young. All right? Now keep this in mind. So she had on pink pants. They were tight around her too. Nice ass. You know what I'm saying? Very nice. So she's walking up the block and they're calling her young. They're like, all right, go ahead, girl. You know how y'all chicks be, right? So boom. She's walking up the block. And then I'd say about maybe 3 minutes later, this guy that I know, he's driving it looks like a lowrider from California, like they drive. You know what I mean? It was a blue one, and the top was down. I don't know him to drive his car, but he was driving it. You know what I'm saying? Nonetheless, so boom, he's driving the car up the hill, up the same hill that the celebrity is walking. So I'm like, okay. So he's driving full speed ahead, and he's like singing out the roof, but he can't sing. And he's just like happy. He might even be intoxicated. He might be high on something. And this is another note that I want to make, right? This guy that was driving the car, he does use PCP. So I want you to make a note of that, because I'm gonna get to that in a minute. So, or he's known to use PCP, whether he does or not. Still, I'm not sure. Okay, so Angel does. For those of you who don't know what PCP is, so the celebrity is walking up the hill still. And, all of the ladies, they're still laughing. So I put two and two together. I know what's going on. It's just like in any neighborhood, you could tell when somebody's creeping, right? So it was like, okay, the celebrity's on her way up the hill. They all cheering her on. And then this dude is driving up behind her. Past her, though. He didn't make it obvious that. So basically it was like giving a glimpse to say, okay, well, these two are sleeping together. You know what I mean? And when you look at the age difference of the guy who was driving the car, I know he's younger than the celebrity that was walking up the hill. All right, so the whole young thing, I pieced all of that together. Right? Okay, so now after that happens, I turn around and I start walking across the street, and I see a girl that I knew from back in the days. You know what I'm saying? And me and this girl is close. Well, we were close, should I say. But you know how some bonds are sometimes like unbreakable, because especially when you're younger, you spend that type of time together that it's more memorable because it's in your younger years, so your brain absorbs the information with much more impact. So this was one of those type of girls that I grew up with, and So I'm walking towards her. She puts her hand out. So I grabbed her hand like a gentleman, I guess, right? I grabbed her hand with both of my hands and I kissed it. Bam, right? And she was like, "Are you still masculine?" And she giggled a little bit, but she giggled with this almost look of disgust, which told me that all the men that she's been trying lately or have been with lately have not been masculine. So she was like kind of turned off with even addressing men, period, on that type of possibly flirtatious note, because we used to play like that as kids. We used to play like that, you know what I mean? So I was definitely feeling the vibe, but I got what she was trying to say. And I was like, yeah, why? So she was like, just checking or something like that. I don't remember the exact words, but as I let go of her hand, one of her bracelets slid off onto my hand. She had bangle bracelets. You know those hoop joints? I think they're called bangles, right, y'all? Get in the comment box. So it slid off onto my wrist. And I looked and I seen it and I joked with her. I was like, I don't know now, look. So I showed her bracelet slid off on my arm, so she started laughing. We was laughing, right? Now, I can't recall whether I returned her bracelet or not, and I found that this was interesting as well because in the dream world, a bracelet means a commitment. You know what I mean? So this is what I think the commitment this is what I think the commitment was, because right after we joked and I laughed after the joke, she started running, right? And I remember, like, we always used to chase each other when we was younger. Like, we always chased each other. You know what I'm saying? And she started running like it was back in the days. So I looked at her, I said, yo, look, you really want me to chase you? So I pulled up my pants, tightened my belt a little bit, and I started darting after her a little bit, though. And then I stopped. I was like, this is not 1992. You know what I'm saying? So I'm laughing, she's laughing. So I can't recall if I gave her back the bracelet, but as I was saying, it's unique that a bracelet means commitment. Now, I can't recall making any commitments to this woman in particular when we were younger, like, you know what I mean? However, at the same time, I can understand through interpreting the dream that the commitment was probably, the bracelet sliding on my arm was probably as a commitment to remain masculine. And for what reasons, I'll tell you this, is what I also interpreted is because they chanted that this celebrity was young as she went up the hill to sleep with this dude, right? Now, even men can relate to this when they say, oh, it's great when men sleep with younger women. It makes them feel younger. It makes them feel like they're more full of vitality, right? Granted. But at the same time, this man was chasing this woman. You understand what I'm talking about? And it makes it, symbolically, it means like, if you chase a woman and you get in the comment box, if you agree or disagree with me, so it's all good. You know what I mean? But if you chase a woman, it makes you less masculine. Now, I know what you might be thinking, like, oh, well, what's up with all of these rape cases and, you know, it's toxic masculinity. I'm talking about real men right now. This is what I decipher, what I determine real men to be like. Real masculinity is very, to me, is content in their being, in their fibers, to where it's like, they know they're the source. You know, they know their power. So it's not about chasing after women. You know what I mean? Now, when you're younger, right? Because as I told you, I was starting to chase this woman that I grew up with. When we were younger, yeah, you know, that's a moon quality, emotions, right? Energy and motion. You're chasing the girls as much as you possibly can, right? But as you begin to mature as men, you start realizing, hey, look, you know, those sun characteristics start kicking in, and you got to say, well, governance. Can I control myself? So this is what I mean about, you may say toxic masculinity. You know, those guys are chasing after women and they're raping them and stuff like that. And I don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings right now. Just listen to what I'm saying, right? Because I'm interpreting something. I don't mean to be vicious when saying this. But I don't determine that to be real masculinity. You know what I mean? I determine that to be something that is irrational, and really more along the lines of the moon, along the lines of the wilds of the moon and what women participate more in. You understand what I'm talking about? Now, some women, they like that. They like how a man can morph into being the way that they are and run after them and be crazy and be wild and don't really have any direction. Some women, not all, thrive in that type of environment. because women are more naturally wild than men are, right? So this is another one of the reasons why I stopped short after chasing this woman. Like I probably took about 7 steps chasing her. And I didn't know until after the dream, and I'm interpreting it. But in my dream, something must have told me, like, look, you don't chase women. You don't chase her anymore. And that's exactly why I said, this is not 1992. When I stopped chasing her, I said, this is not 1992. And we laughed it off, you know what I mean? But we did what we were supposed to do in the dream so we can absorb, especially me. I don't know if we shared this dream or not, but to absorb this information and take it for what it's worth. So I stopped chasing her. But again, the celebrity is being chased because trust me, who knows, right? Maybe it's flipped around. Maybe the celebrity was chasing the guy. You know what I mean? But for what I took it as, it felt like, this guy was chasing after the woman, and I needed to see that in order to come to terms that I need to stop chasing my childhood friend and get into something else, or just, be glad that I seen her, you know what I mean? Pay attention to the bracelet when I wake up. At this point, I still don't even know that I'm dreaming, though. So it was fun. I was in this dream for a pretty long time, if I think about it on dream terms. So I stopped chasing her, right? I turn around and I walk directly to a church that I frequented as a child. And this church was not active. Well, as a matter of fact, it was sometimes. But then after a while, it shut down completely. So this is really a hangout spot for me. This was a spot that I used to always go to by myself a lot. Sometimes my friends would come with me, but I would frequent this place a lot by myself and just take a time out from everything that was going on outside. And I would sit on these church steps and I would just chill out. You know what I mean? And so when I get to these church steps, I see someone else who is deceased right now. And when I tell you, like, I did not realize that this person was deceased until the end of the dream. I mean that. Like, it was just like yesterday. I was like, yo, what's up? So we sit down on it. And I remind you, I said this was going to be strongly relative to Scorpio, right? I sit down on the church steps with this guy. And, God bless the dead to everybody that I'm mentioning right now. I know you don't know who I'm talking about, but so I sit down with this guy and we're talking, and he's like, he's asking me about PCP. The conversation, no matter of fact, it didn't start there. It started like this. He said, you see those guys right there? So we sitting on the steps. Where these steps are, it's really in a cut. It's almost like you're hiding. But you can see the main street from these steps. This is another reason why I used to love sitting here. So he was like, you see those guys right there? So there was some guys walking down the block. And he was like, these guys are looking for a specific celebrity rapper at that. It's like, these guys are looking for this rapper, and if they see him, they're gonna do him dirty. And I was like, word, for real? It's like, damn. You know what I mean? I didn't even want to know why. I was just like, well, damn. You know what I'm saying? And so then, they kept walking. Then another group of guys come by. And he's like, you see these guys right here? Yeah, they came to murder so-and-so and so-and-so. I know everybody he's naming, and I'm like, word? I'm like, yo, damn. It's wild out here. You know what I'm saying? Which I should expect where I'm from. So that happens. So then he starts questioning me about PCP. He's like, so where? He's like, yo, wouldn't it still pop with just the formaldehyde and the tranquilizer, this and that? And I said, it will pop, you know what I mean? But it's not the same until you add that mint leaf effect so that the substances can soak into the actual tangible substance. Like, you need that third component. You need that other component to make it more rich, or to even make it more usable at that. You know what I mean? And I started telling them the knowledge behind it, this, that, and the third. And I was like, as a matter of fact, if you want to go buy the flakes, you should go over here because nobody really goes over there. And when you go, you better. So I'm just schooling him, like I'm teaching him how to destroy people's lives in some type of way. Maybe, I can't say that for everybody. Some people have strong minds, they survive, they use moderately, whatever the case may be. Blah, 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 blah. Right? But I was definitely what you could call It was kicking my shit up, is what some people say when they're in treatment, right? It was kicking my shit up because I was hype. I was telling him all of the information that he was asking for, right? And I was like, as soon as I was like, yo, as a matter of fact, I just did a song on it, and I was started reciting the lyrics from my song to give him the information, and I just put this song up not too long ago, maybe a day or two ago, right? So as I'm telling him this, he pulls out a CB from his shoulder. It looks like one of those cab dispatcher CBs though. And he's like, 10-4, did you get that? Did you get that? Right? And he's laughing. And I'm like, oh, come on, man. I'm just answering a question, man. Like, I don't get down like that no more, man. I'm not playing with that type of stuff no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that. You know, if the case may be, he was like, no, I'm playing. Now, at this very moment is when I realized he was deceased. And a feeling of happiness came over me, but definitely a feeling of sadness came over me as well. And you know, the happiness came because I missed this dude. You know what I'm saying? And this even further, right? This person used to, when I was small, I was real small. Like when I was a child, I was a small child. I didn't start growing until I was about maybe 16, 17 years old. So what he would do sometimes is he would get his bike and he would put, you know, those bikes with the seats on the back, he would put me on the back of the bike. And he'd be like, come on, I want to ride you up here. He would like experiment to see if he could carry the weight and still pop wheelies and stuff. And this is a mountain bike. I'm not talking about like a motorcycle or nothing. So I would get on, and his number one thing was to go up the exact hill that the celebrity and the dude that was driving the car would go up. This was his main thing because it was the biggest hill in our neighborhood. So he wanted to see if he could make it up the hill with me on the back on that hill. He knew his legs were strong. He knew he could do whatever after that. So he would actually bring me up that hill, and he would wheelie up the hill. Like, this dude was no joke with the bike. So he would wheelie me up the hill, and then, of course, when you come down the hill, it was like a roller coaster like none other. And I'm on the back of this bike, like on the back of his seat. But the, you know, those thin aluminum seats that sit on the back right above the wheel. And we're flying down this hill after we go up it. You know what I mean? So this was symbolic to me as well, because he was no longer with us. You understand what I'm saying? So the lesson being taught here was that, okay, now here this dude goes driving up the hill, who is a user of PCP. As again, I don't know if he still uses, chasing after a woman who he's younger than, right? And this is the hill that we used to go up, and, you know, the dude that's telling this to me is no longer with us. So again, if the lesson is being taught there, like, don't chase the woman, and the commitment being made with the woman that I used to chase around, you know what I mean, falling on my hand, is like, are you still masculine? You know what I mean? So this is what the commitment meant to me. Like, you know, in order to remain masculine, will you not chase women? You understand what I'm talking about? And I don't care, like, after awakening, so that pretty much was the dream. You know what I mean? Now, after awakening from that, I deciphered all of this, and, you know, I put two and two together and everything, and it's just, I'm in awe still. You know what I mean? Because as a man, there's so much societal, I won't even call it pressure right now, because I don't move like that. I'm not, as a Pisces, I'm still just not as susceptible as people will even think that I am. You know what I mean? Not saying that I wasn't. I definitely was. But when you learn some tricks of the trade and stuff, like, you start making decisions that's like, okay, you know, I'm gonna stand firm behind this. I'm gonna stand stern behind this, especially when you see that it benefits you, when you act on it. So, sure, I can keep that commitment. I know that's what that commitment was. And it was great to see those people again. And I have to realize the words that I use too. Like, this is not 1992. Now, again, this relates to the music that I just put out, and I want to bring in the whole Candy with Venus being inside of the sign of Scorpio. All right. As I said before, Candy can also represent overindulgence, right? So, or indulging in things that are no longer important, or that are not important, or are unimportant, right? So, releasing that song was, you know, and I'm doing a Venus retrograde music project right now, right? So that's part of the reason why I did this song because I know how people are. You know, when you reach a certain point, some people will be like, well, what about us? What happened to us? Or you don't remember where you came from and stuff like that. And trust me when I tell you, at the end of the day, like, I don't care what people think, but I'm also a marketing person. I'm also a business person. You know what I mean? So I already know how this thing goes. And I'm not saying I'm going to dedicate every song on this project to my homeboys or, you know, all of the drug use that used to go on or whatever activities that we used to participate in back in the days. However, it's kind of like a ode, or kind of like of me showing my respects to my roots and where I came from by putting that song out. You know what I mean? It wasn't the first song I put out, it's the second song I put out, but here nor there, you know, I'm not even trying to justify what I did, but I'm saying that I acknowledge what the entire message was. And, you know, I'm saying this now to all of my subscribers and my people who support me. Like, listen, when you watch Zoo, that's the name of the song. When you watch Zoo, realize that I'm a creative artist, okay? And I know the difference. I know how to separate a flashback or some type of memories that I have that I just want to share with some people in an artistic way. I know how to separate that from real life. I don't participate in those activities anymore. If you listen to the song closely, you can tell that I'm reminiscing. It's nothing that I'm present day talking about. Like, it was that history, but I still embody it because I am me. You understand what I'm talking about? So again, it's like an ode. However, at the same time, I do get the message that my people were telling me, especially by seeing two people who are no longer with us in this dream. It shows me they still care as well, you know? So if I can enjoy time with people who are no longer here in my dreams, then I should be able to value the messages that they send to me. And it also gives me this gnat. I'm gonna squash this gnat. Like, it's like a pet now. It's for 2 days now it's been in here. But you know, I can enjoy the quality that they bring to me in my dreams, to the point to where it gives me confirmation and solace to see, like, yo, you know, we know who you are, you know what I mean? And you don't got to do all of that, because it's all a whole definitely, you know, so Scorpio's associated with death, transformation, etc., right? So, you know, sometimes in astrology, I guess we say death doesn't mean literal death. However, sometimes we have to come to terms that it means the physical deterioration of some people that we do meet on this earthly plane, on this plane, right? So dreams that I'm speaking of about right now, it pertains to these people still actually existing. It's just either in another dimension or just purely in the mind. However you want to determine that, right? But it's something to take into consideration for us who are still in the physical plane where they don't reside. So I do take it as knowledge. I do receive the message and I appreciate it. So it brings me solace to say, well, you know, now I could finish this project with more, I guess you could say, content, to show that, you know, yeah, I don't really have to be bravado in that sense of, you know, what we used to do. Although it's a Venus retrograde project, I can still talk about other things that are unrelated to the things that kind of perpetuate matters that are relative to death. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I hope you enjoyed this story. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you understand exactly what it is that I'm saying and how I made those connections. Now, from listening, if you heard any other connections that you come across, you can get inside of the comment box and share that with me as well. I'd find that interesting if you've seen something that I didn't see. You know, and if you want to talk about this type of stuff even more, you can also just get in the comment box and talk about that as well. You know what I mean? Or something, other topics that are somewhere along the line. I guess I felt real comfortable talking about this, and I usually don't. You know what I mean? But this is probably a public thing. You know, of course it's a public thing right now. Who knows if I bring this more into the private realm later on as well, because it's, as I said before, you know, I didn't even mention any names because it's a sensitive topic, and you don't know, you know, I don't know how some of the viewers are going to take it. Now, I'm not going to be obnoxious to the point where I don't care about how this type of thing affects you. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, some people that hear this and they have people who are deceased, they can feel more comfortable about dealing with that now. You know what I mean? So it's a risk on my behalf. You know, I just hope that you can look at it from a perspective that you don't break down to the point where, you know, I opened a wound or something like that. But, you know, this is what I do. You know what I mean? And if it does have that type of effect, again, I know how to go inwardly on a different private type platform. I wanted to share this with you, though. All right? So I'm out. Everybody take care. Later.